For many of us, 2025 was special. A lot of illusions were stripped away this year, and we learned that in careers, stability, loyalty, all this got thrown out the door, and we we had to relearn how career pivots work. But before we talk about, going into 2026, I wanted to take today to reflect on the important lessons that we learned in 2025 and what you need to do to move more confidently in your career pivot into 2026. Career pivots, jobs. Oh, what a year. And it didn't just, people didn't just fail at it. And they tried to put a finger on what really happened this year. And I think that our over reliance on this one structure, the employee company organization relationship, is what just failed this year. The stories we've been taught that if you work hard, you climb the ladder, you are loyal, you don't rock the boat, that stability would follow. And what we learned in 2025 is that this is not exactly what happened, because very capable, very high performing people found themselves extremely vulnerable, and many out of work, sometimes overnight, or when they tried to log in at work and their ID wouldn't open the door. So in 2025, what I started to see with my clients and in the community is that real stability came from people who had their head up, noticed the trends, and were able to adapt. People stayed connected and informed. People who created their own opportunities. People who had more than one identity around their work. People who had more than one path forward, so that when something shifted, they had another opportunity. Stability isn't something that an employer can give you. It's something that you have to build. Hi, my name is Maria DeStore, and thank you for joining me for my final live of 2025. This is episode 107, if you can believe it, and they are all on my YouTube channel if you want to go back. I go live to share tips and tricks to help you take your career off of autopilot and figure out how to recreate your life and career so that it works for you and not the other way around. So today I'm going to share 3 foundational ways that people began building stability in 2025 at a time when there really wasn't a lot of stability, and why these tips are going to matter even more in 2026. So, number 1, clarity beyond your job title. And that's also clarity around what you want to become, because you need to position yourself for who you're becoming and what you're doing next, not who you were. So many people introduce themselves in their brand documents, on their LinkedIn, right at the top. What's your job title? But when roles change or disappear, then your identity collapses. So how can you build that stability? What problems you solve, and who you help, not just your job title and where you work. So people who moved more clearly and were able to pivot in 2025 and who will pivot quickly in 2026 can articulate their experience beyond the job title or who they are within this one organization or company. You position yourself as a content area expert in the larger world so that people can see your zone of genius and know who you are. So number 2 goes along with this. It's skills over titles. Skills matter. Who you are, what results you bring. People who can demonstrate and translate their skills across industries, projects, problems, Those are the people who have options, even in this brutal job market. So when you're exploring opportunities, applying for roles, sending out proposals, connecting those dots, you have to be clear and connect those dots versus just sending out resumes or proposals with a lot of buzzwords and all the fancy titles you've held, because you're not connecting the dots that enable someone to see how you're going to solve their problems. Move beyond your title. And in your headline, on your LinkedIn, in your candidate summary, talk about your skills versus your titles. Tip number 3, build your network before you need it. In 2025, networks opened doors that resumes couldn't. Every job out there, every job board is inundated. I'm sure you've seen on LinkedIn, 300 people have already applied for this role. And I've heard many people say, well, I just didn't even bother. Why would I bother? This is why the network is important. Who do you know at that company who can get you past the AI and to the hiring manager? Networking means staying visible, positioning yourself as a content area expert, sharing what you know beyond the walls of your organization or your company, nurturing relationships over time, noticing other people for what they do, letting people know how you can help them. Careers are supported by people. And if you think back on your career and all the big pivots you have made, I bet that there are people that opened the doors or even gave you the idea to go after it in the first place. So keep building your network. When you put things together, clarity beyond your title, skills that forward you and position you, and you build your living network, something interesting starts to happen. You start building what you could consider a portfolio career. It means figuring out more than one way to earn money, building those passive income streams, more ways to apply your expertise, and possibly building that bridge to retirement. In 2026, think about the question, what job do I want? And instead, think about, how do I build a career that can hold me and support me through change, both the external change and the internal change, because your career should be there to build your rich life. And if you need help with your visioning, with your positioning, with any of it, I invite you to hop on my calendar and I will share my calendar link in the show notes. I hope you have a fantastic holiday. Welcome to 2026, and I'll be back with more tips and tricks to help you accelerate your career pivot in 2026. Thanks for joining me. Happy New Year.